I had aches and pains pretty much all of my lower body. You had to run 50k, no stopping, no walking. That should be 10 miles done, 10 miles to go. Woo! Here we go, finish line! Yeah! Morning folks, thanks for joining me again. I'm out here on my local trails. If you saw my video about my local 10k route, you'll recognise a lot of this as we go round. But today it's different, we're not doing 10k. If you saw my last video, you may recall I was out doing a 28km long run. My longest training run ever. It was an eventful one, but generally it went really well. And towards the end of the video, I made this fatal mistake, which I've done before. Every time I say out loud, announce to anyone listening that my training is going really well. I've been doing a great job following the plan without getting injured. I can guarantee that's when the wheels will fall off. So in line with my training plan, after that 28k on the Saturday, I went out and did 17 on the Sunday for a back-to-back long run. I did a 6k easy and some strength training on the Monday, and then Tuesday was a speed session. This is the one that got me. It was a hard run. Can't deny it. Felt like I was putting in more effort for less speed in the later reps, but I got through it. You know, I was okay. Got back home not feeling like I'd hurt anything. Well, the next day is when the hurt turned up. I had aches and pains pretty much all of my lower body. The left glute was feeling pretty iffy, and knees, calves, shins, hamstrings, getting random aches and pains walking about from all of those. To cut a long story as short as I can, Thursday I wasn't ready to run. Too many things were feeling like they were broken at that point. Not serious pain, but I just knew if I started running it was going to make everything worse. Friday, meant to be doing an easy run, skipped that as well. Saturday was meant to be 32 kilometers, my longest training run ever. Had the course planned for that. I was looking forward to it, and just couldn't do it. Couldn't justify to myself going out and doing 32 kilometers while I still felt beaten up from this speed session. But now it's Monday, it's bank holiday after Easter, I'm not at work, and I'm going to attempt the 32 kilometer long run, which was due on Saturday, rightly or wrongly. But I feel like the long run's an important part of this ultra training. I've picked this looped course, my local trails, so I can get off and go home at the end of a loop if I need to. And if you watched any of my older videos, you might remember the one with the skeleton on the thumbnail, where I was asking whether I could survive 3 laps. That was my first attempt at doing 3 times around this loop. So today, look at me, I'm going to attempt 4 laps. Now in terms of pace for today's long run, I'm looking for that kind of forever pace, that really gentle jog that you feel like you could just keep doing and doing and doing. And going down that train of thought, I figure it's the kind of pace that if your life depended on it, you know, gun to your head, you had to run 50k, no stopping, no walking, just any kind of running pace. This is that pace, the one that isn't draining me too much, and if I really had to, I could keep going. So I was thinking about that quite a bit really, and as someone who's only been running a few years, coming up to 4 years now, I've only done one 50k ultra, so I'm very much still a beginner in running and ultra running. I've seen lots of YouTube videos on people doing ultras, and one of the things you see every time really is people walking up the hills, particularly the steeper, longer ones. It's almost a commandment of ultra running that you need to walk the hills. And indeed, when I ran my first ultra, the Spire Ultra last year, that I still talk about a lot, you may have noticed, walking the hills definitely seemed like the right thing to do. Even early on, when my heart rate was going up into the 170s, 2k into the race, I was walking the hills, and it reached the point later on in the race where I was walking up a gentle slope and I couldn't string 2 strides of running together without feeling like I needed to stop straight away. So walking the hills just seemed like the only option at the time, and the sensible thing to do, of course. But as I've been thinking about this just now, I have a theory that if I really, or if any of these runners that you see doing 50Ks really wanted to keep running the entire distance no matter what, and like I say, in the scenario where your life depends on it, I think they could run the entire distance without stopping, without walking. It wouldn't be pleasant, there's a high risk of injury, but I think it would be possible. I think we limit ourselves to protect ourselves. It's sensible, you know, it does make sense. And I'm not saying that any of us, including myself, should attempt to run an entire 50k ultra on hilly trails, for example. It's just my theory goes that if I really had to, I think I could do it, you know, barring catastrophic injury or accident. I think I could get round, totally destroy myself without running, without walking or stopping. What I won't be doing. You know it, I know it. It's just a theory. Let me know what you think. Don't worry though, the plan for this training run isn't to keep running no matter what. I've just walked up the hill of doom whilst eating half a flapjack. Still recall the mantra I used for my first ultra. Did I mention my first ultra? Keep moving, keep eating. Seemed to work reasonably well. I was moving very slowly at times. So you may be wondering, given how that last speed session absolutely broke me, what am I going to do when my plan next says to do a similar speed session? And of course I have been giving that some thought, and the upshot is I know there are benefits to doing some speed work, whatever your goals are. When I go for a speed session, having not done one for a couple of weeks, the next day I've got DOMs in parts of my legs and abs, obliques, hips, stuff that's clearly been worked in ways it hadn't with the easy and steady run I've been doing previously. So I feel like you're getting strength benefits that's going to help you running, but the last thing I want to do is injure myself. So the next time there's a speed workout on my plan, I have a feeling there's a 7 by 5 minutes looming during this endurance phase, which is kind of the peaking section of the plan as I get closer to race day and ready to start tapering. I'm definitely not going to follow the instructions as written, but rather than just go out and do an easy or steady run, same as all the others, I'll just go by feel, maybe do 2 or 3 short little bursts, slower than I have been doing, just more of a tempo, just for, you know, no more than 10 or 12 minutes altogether, as opposed to the 30 minutes of really hard running which I did on that last outing. Almost at the end of the first lap, when I get to the road crossing, that's this one done. The trail's about a mile from home for 1.6, maybe 1.7k. The loop's about 7, so I'm hoping my watch tells me 8.6, 8.7 when I get to the road. That's 1 lap done, 3 to go. Feeling okay so far. So 9 kilometers just as I cross the road. Lap 1 done. Feeling okay. This is usually when I feel best on a run, after about 8 to 9 kilometers. Everything's warmed up and loosened up. So from here on out, it's all downhill, mate. This coming Saturday, I've arranged to go to the Peak District again with Mornay. We're going to do the Edale Skyline route, which is about 20 miles, 21 miles maybe. So I'll make sure I don't overdo it today. It's Monday already, so it's going to be 2 long runs in the same calendar week. Just got this final hill to do before I reach the road crossing that marks the end of lap 2 and the halfway point. That should be 10 miles done, 10 miles to go. Feeling pretty good. If anything's been grumbling the most, it's been left glute briefly, left hamstring where it moved after that, but it's like a 1 out of 10. It's just what you expect when you've been running for nearly 10 miles. Right, lap 2 done then. This is where the mental aspect of long distance running comes in. Another 2 laps to go and then the jog home from the trail. Seems like a long way and you're starting to feel a bit tired, legs are getting heavy, running feels harder. But I've had a breakthrough recently thinking about this, and I've kind of added to the mental toolbox and tricks that I can use to keep going when I don't really feel like I want to. What it feels like sometimes is, especially if you stop or walk and then want to get running again, your legs are just so heavy and tired that you really don't think you can start running again at that point. You feel like you need a longer break, you need to walk for a while longer before you can consider running again. But what I'm finding is that when you reach that point, you can make yourself run. It's never that you can't run, you just don't feel like it. Your body and mind are trying to talk you out of it, trying to keep things easy. But if you force yourself, if you just start running, no matter how tired your legs feel and how much they want to stop straight away, if you just get going until your legs just find that rhythm, that easy jog that just feels like it's almost automatic, just get yourself back into that. You can do it, I guarantee it, every time. Just because you're tired and your legs are heavy and the last thing you want to do is run, if your intention is to get going again, you can make yourself do it. The thing I say to myself in situations like that now is, I'm an ultra runner. This is what I do. Running when your legs are tired and heavy and feel exhausted, that's probably the main skill you need to master as an ultra runner. And if you don't have that ability, you're basically just going for a long walk with a few jogs in between. I've always heard people talking about getting used to running on tired legs. Usually when they're talking about doing back-to-back long runs at a weekend. And I've always just thought, okay, it's just going out for a run when you're a bit tired and making sure you get it done. But now my thoughts on that have changed a bit to thinking that it's an actual skill. When you're out and your legs just feel like giving up, but you talk yourself into getting going again, you start jogging, you keep going even though your legs don't want to, and you just get into the rhythm again. That's a skill, that's something you can practice, and that's what I've been doing recently, and I think it's going to benefit me a lot in future on long runs and races. Just that realization that you can do it. You don't have to walk just because you're tired. You might want to, but just get going again. It's a skill, practice it. When you feel like giving up, run. No matter what it costs, no matter how much you don't want to do it, get going, start. It doesn't have to be a fast run, get jogging, slip into that pace that feels easy again. And I'm just quite excited, as you can probably tell, that I've had this realization now and I'm starting to get better at it. All of which is not to say that you shouldn't run during an ultra or a long training run. Switching from that repetitive running action to walking for a while, fantastic. Gives those muscles a break, gets you into a different pattern, lets you use your muscles in a different way, allows your legs to recover from the running you've been doing, and it's a great tactic and one that pretty much everyone uses, especially walking up hills. But what I'm talking about is where you've been walking and walking and you're thinking, I really should be running now, I want to be running now, but your legs just won't go. just developing that skill of saying, come on legs, we're going whether you like it or not, and setting off again. That's where you need it, when you know you should be running, you want to be running. Walking's making you feel like dross and like a bit of a failure, and you're wondering where your training went wrong or what's causing you to feel so tired. It's just because you've sunk into that tired walking mode and you need to force yourself to get going. So very useful. My other example of how you can run if you really want to is when you see people at the end of long races. They've been trudging along for miles and miles as they get towards the end, praying for the end, just wanting it all to stop, looking like if they had the choice of never taking another step, they'd take it. But then they see the finish line, woo, here we go, finish line, yeah! What do you know, I can run again. It's the same idea. If you want to get going again, you can. Don't let your body fool you. Right, that's 3 laps done. The watch says 22.5k. Feeling it now, but just tired. Still going. Right, almost 26k in. About halfway around the final lap of the trail. Lost count of the dog walkers. There's been plenty. A couple of people walking without a dog. 4 runners. All middle-aged men. Don't know what's going off there. It's always nice to see fellow runners. Said hello to them. So I've just reached 28 kilometers. So getting into unknown territory now in terms of my longest ever training run. Did the 28 point something last week, and this is going to be even longer. So besides the ultra I did last May, this will be my longest ever run. I'm almost at the end of lap 4 now, and I'm only on 29.5 kilometers. Anyway, it's been good. Wasn't sure I'd make it. Various points where my body was suggesting I might want to stop, but those little floating aches and pains did exactly that. Turned up somewhere, floated off somewhere else, moved on again. Nothing's lingered, so I'm happy with that. Just a little trot around the estate to make it up to 32 kilometers, and then I am done. Well, thanks for being here today. Hope you've enjoyed this challenging long run, my longest training run ever, with more to come. If you do want to subscribe to my channel, it is free. Just press the button and watch the subscriber count go up by 1. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.